Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Zachariah Renfro, and today we're going to be talking about video-enabled mentorship, mentoring in the AI age. Particularly, we're going to talk about how to better mentor students if you're a teacher or professor teaching in an online situation, and how you can use video to improve that process to help you uh, better provide value to them and to help them further in their journey. So we're going to go over a few topics. We'll go over what makes a college degree valuable, how faculty can add value to a degree, faculty mentorship of students, and using video for mentorship. So let's look at what makes a college degree valuable. There are four areas: peer connections, faculty mentorship, content knowledge, and the brand of the college. So starting with peer connections, Barrios Fernandez did a study among Chilean students at college and found that students who attended elite colleges tended to end up in better social position later in life, regardless of background, right? And this is something that, has been seen in many other studies. And what does that mean specifically? It means that for the prospective student, if they go to a college with a bunch of high achievers and high earners, odds are they will eventually become one of them as well. You think about it, if you're going to school with people who are going to be the future CEOs of big companies and come from wealthy parents and all that, and you befriend some of them, then years down the line, odds are, they might be able to hook you up with a good job or something of that nature, right? It's called the transmission of social capital. And it's one of those things where you tend to see that, a person's place in life is most closely determined by the people they associate with, which is why, for example, elite colleges tend to have such good career outcomes for students, because the students in those colleges are able to associate with people who have high social standing, and at the end of their degrees are able to usually leverage that for good career outcomes. The next component of value for students is faculty mentorship. So that is professors, teachers, and people who are in the classroom, providing them career guidance throughout their educational process. Now, what does that mean? Typically, that means while they're still in school. And how this shows up in the value equation is that students are typically making decisions based off of mentorship received by faculty, right? And this is backed up by Gallup surveys of students. And it's also backed up by Al-Shayan et al. Al-Shayan, they did a study of people who are doing public policy degrees and examined how those students felt about and used faculty mentorship. Now, with faculty mentorship, an example of how this might play out is, if you're an accounting student and you're looking on career guidance to, say, be an accountant, right? Are you going to get better specific advice and connections from the career services person who, perhaps has a degree in education and has worked in the career services office? Or are you going to get better, more tailored advice from the person who's been doing the job or has done the job that you yourself want to do? You'll get the better advice from the person who's been there before, typically the professor, right? They'll be able to give you heads up on things that you might otherwise miss and help you kind of shape the path of your education and your career to better fit into whatever role you're wanting to go into. And this is hugely important because it's value that is, sometimes it comes afterwards, right? But a lot of times it's front loaded in the beginning, right? Like early on in the degree, they'll get mentorship from a professor. They receive this value, and then it shapes the rest of their education, right? Now, faculty mentorship can also show up later in life as well, as people look back to faculty for advice on grad school or perhaps finding a job, and some faculty are perhaps well connected within the career. For example, with accounting, it's very common for many accounting professors to also work even part-time doing accounting for different firms. So if they've built a good professional relationship with a student, they might be able to turn them on to job opportunities that otherwise they would not get, right? So that's faculty mentorship. Next is content knowledge. This is the development of human capital, i.e., learning new things, right? Learning how to write reports, learning how to do research, learning how to do analysis, learning skills in chemical engineering, learning skills in medical science, whatever a person's degree is. This is content knowledge. And it's another one of those areas that professors touch on, right? And this is one of the important things, right? So human capital development is important such that it fills gaps in the marketplace that employers are looking for. And then the final area of value, and this is one that professors don't really have much control over, is the brand of the college, right? A Harvard degree is worth more than a degree from Bob Jones State, right? Like they're at different levels of value, right? And if you're a professor, you don't really have any control of when it comes to the brand value of the college, right? Spence is one of the earliest researchers to really look at this, and it's called educational signaling, right? If you're an employer, you see a certain college brand, and it signals to you that there's value in the student. Now, I will say that the value of educational signaling has declined in modern times, such that there are only a handful of colleges, worldwide, where just the brand of the college carries a huge amount of weight. And if you didn't go to one of those colleges, or you're not teaching at one of those colleges, then I'm not saying it's a completely level playing field, but it is not going to usually be the sole value driver, right? So those are the areas of college degree value. So how can we as faculty add value? First is by developing strong professional relationships with students, right? Helping guide them throughout their educational career, whether they're an adult learner, a non-traditional learner getting their degree for some other thing, or whether they are an 18-year-old, first year in college, whatever. As a faculty member, you've been there, you've done it all before, you've been in the place they want to go to, and you can provide them the valuable knowledge to help them shape their path. A lot of faculty, we're busy, and a lot of faculty want to just farm this out to career services. But again, thinking back to the accounting example, or, suppose you're a business professor or you're an English professor and someone says to you, well, I want to be a writer someday. Who is going to have better insight to becoming a writer or becoming a successful business owner? The faculty member who's been there, and if they haven't directly done those things, has studied it and been around it, or the person who hasn't, right? So your knowledge, your mentorship adds a lot of value that otherwise are not going to get anywhere else, right? So faculty mentorship, mentoring your students is a huge value add, and it will literally change their life as they're going through college. The next thing, content knowledge, and we're not going to talk about this really here, but that's developed by mastering your craft and improving teaching skills, right? Like ABC kind of stuff, right? Like you've been working on this, studying this stuff your whole life, and as you further learn, you get better with that. And that's a different lecture, different time, different place, right? Let's dig in a little bit more deeply with faculty mentorship. Students found mentorship from faculty to be superior to the more generic career services mentorship, and it's by a pretty wide margin in this Gallup survey, something like 20%, right? And students who used faculty mentorship uh, were able to better shape their careers, as shown by Ali Shayan, when it comes to public policy. Because again, think about the people who were getting degrees in public policy. They're typically wanting to get higher level positions in government or things of that nature. Their professors have probably already been there. They've already done it, right? So they've got a lot of good insight into that process and can help them. We come to the tough part, right? How do we really do that? If we're online, if we're asynchronous, if we're in this age of AI, we have professors that are wanting to pawn off their grading to AI. They're wanting to pawn off the creation of their educational materials to AI, both things that I think are absolutely harmful to the learner and harmful to the professor, right? And then we're dealing with online classes, right? We're not often seeing these students face to face. So what are some things that we can do? What are some things that I've been doing, right? So one of the ones that I've been doing is live lectures or / discussion meetings. Post these up at a certain time, and students that can attend, they'll attend, and you'll get that valuable one-on-one time with them, or valuable, interaction time. I typically average, 7, 8, or 9 students per meeting, which, admittedly isn't a huge number, but that's 7 to 9 students who otherwise would have never gotten any interaction with me, the professor, right? And during the course of the lectures and discussions, we get to talk not only about the material with a lot of detail, but we also sometimes will verge into those career-related topics. Someone says, oh, I'm thinking about doing grad school for this or that. And well, I've been to grad school. I know what it's like. I can provide specific advice and mentorship. Start getting your letters of recommendation early. Start planning out the schools you want to look at, etc., etc., right? Another thing you can do is use videos to answer questions and require answers from students to be videos as well. This is going to seem a little strange at first. If you're not used to being on camera, if you're not used to talking, it can be a little tough. But I'm telling you, this is a good one because they see your face, you see their face, you get a little bit of connection, almost like watching your favorite YouTuber or something, right? So they ask you a question about supply chain management. You reply to them with a video, ask them to reply to you with a video. Now you've seen each other. You've communicated with each other. And if you follow up those discussions, you will eventually get to points where you're able to provide mentorship. Now, admittedly, it's almost like an epistolary type of mentorship. What's that mean? Epistolary, like writing letters, right? You're basically making video letters to each other, maybe doing it in the forums of a classroom. Again, it'll seem a little strange at first, but if you do it for all your classes, do it for all your students, it'll be second nature. And then you're getting a lot of good interaction with them, even if they're not able to come to live meetings. Next things you can do is do video calls for guidance, right? So if a student has any questions or is nervous about anything, ask them, set up a quick video call, 15 minutes, 10 minutes. You get on Zoom with each other or Teams with each other, and you talk to each other, right? You interact with each other and you really get the chance to answer their questions, provide that guidance. They reply to you. It's live. And again, that's building that connection. And down at the bottom, you can use Teams or Zoom. You can use built-in classroom tools. Whatever your particular university has, that's what you'll want to use, right? So in conclusion, when it comes to improving degree value, we can only control how we teach content, right? And how we connect with students, mentorship. We can also, if we set our classes up certain ways, encourage better peer connection, right? That's one of the great things about live meetings. If you have those, students will get to talk to each other. They'll get to know each other. And if you're doing things right, maybe they'll make friends and it will better their career and provide more value throughout their degree, right? That's all I've got. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day.